What's up, you old son of a bitch?
Yeah, I'm getting pretty long in the tooth, as they say. You know.
Why do they say that?
It's actually because your gums recede.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense. I have that now. I have some pretty bad gingivitis.
Okay, yeah. Anyway, once again, you find us in Hong Kong.
Weird.
Surprise. But
someday you'll know why.
Yeah, one of these days.
King Man Street.
Yeah, we're on the King Man Street. Now, every time I come to Hong Kong, I'm literally blown away by how many old people you see.
It's a weird thing to notice, but it is absolutely true. A lot of people pushing around their little carts of vegetables and just being old.
You know, of course, I do live in Shenzhen, which is one of the youngest cities
Sure.
in the world. You know, average age is 27 there,
Sure.
and it's a migrant city, so not a lot of old people go there. But in general, when you're walking around China, you just don't see as many, I'd say, like, really old people.
Right.
Like geriatric.
Like ancient, like
Yeah,
can't
like
fend for
really
themselves.
Barely like walking with walkers, and so you don't see walkers and things like that in China.
No.
And you also don't see all these wheelchair ramps and all the sort of disability-friendly things that you see in Hong Kong. Being an ex-British colony, it's mandatory, obviously.
Sure.
And that brings us to our topic today, which is, you know, what happens to the old people in China? Like, do they have nursing homes? What's the deal?
Right. Now, I'm going to preface this with some concerns that some middle-aged people tend to have in mainland China. Let's talk about my parents-in-law. So one of the biggest concerns of my parents-in-law is what are they going to do when they become old and decrepit? And they think that at their age of only 60 years old, that they're already there. They think that in a couple years I'm not going to be able to drive. A couple years I'm going to need people to take care of me. And the reason being is that there's a very poor social system here in China, mainland China, to take care of old people. Nursing homes are actually a very recent development.
Yes.
They're incredibly expensive, and there have been so many, just an absolute plethora of abuse cases, which you see in every country, but very much so in China because the staff is very underpaid. It's considered a low-class job for a nurse to be working there, right? And you know, the general care is subpar in China. So a lot of people are concerned. So the reason you don't see them on the street is actually because it is your responsibility as a young person to take care of your parents.
Here is where we come across the worst reason to get married to a Chinese woman.
Yes.
The worst reason is that it's built in. Instead of having a social system where the government looks after the old people, families look after the old people.
Right.
So if you get married to a Chinese woman, you will be expected to look after her parents when they're decrepit and old and bedridden and what have you. You will be expected to have them live in your home.
Right.
And look after them and spoon feed them.
Right.
And it's part of the whole social system. In fact, having children is kind of like an investment.
I was just about to mirror that statement, for
Yeah.
sure. When you have kids because they're going to take care of you in the future. It sounds a bit selfish and weird.
It is selfish.
But it's not like Westerners are born knowing that they're going to have a social system to take care of their parents. They know that there is a safety net. There is an outlet, right? If
Not
there
in
isn't-
South Africa, there isn't.
Okay, well, we're not talking about South Africa.
Yeah.
We're talking about the real West.
Okay, sure.
There is a safety net. There are options for people, and it might be stressful, right, to put your parents in a nursing home or something, but they exist.
Yeah.
In China, like you said, you're born to serve your family.
Yeah.
So, like you said, if you're a Westerner that's marrying a Chinese girl, you're taking on that baggage. You actually make me really upset right now.
You
I'm just
don't
thinking about
realize
that.
it, and it seems all good
Oh, I
and well
realize
in the
it now.
beginning because you're just like, oh wow, cool, it's a beautiful girl, and she's so lovely and bubbly and lovely, and she's so traditional, and she cooks for me, and she, you know, and then you realize.
Fast forward 20 years, you got two old people laying in your bed.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
taking care of them, and.
Don't even remind me,
Anyway,
dude.
So the thing is, that's what happens. There are no sort of nursing homes, really.
They exist, but they're expensive and they're bad.
But just like disabled people, if there's a
Right.
disabled person in the family,
They hide them away.
they're hidden away, they're kept at home, you don't see them. So you'll see the old people go out for, you know, as much as they can. They'll go buy their vegetables and stuff before they become unable to do this. And then they're going to stay at home and you're going to look after them.
My example is actually, okay. Sometimes I'll have Chinese friends.
Yeah.
And I'll have met their parents before. Their
Sometimes
brothers
I'll
and
have
sisters.
Chinese friends too, but it's
You know what I mean.
fleeting.
You know what I mean. When I know them, I get to know their brother and sister or their parents, right?
Yeah.
But I find out later on when the first time I visit their house,
Yeah.
that there's this like ancient decrepit being in there that never goes outside. I hate to say that, but never goes outside, doesn't communicate to anyone, is just dying in a chair.
Yeah.
You see that. It's like a figure of a house in China, you know.
Part of the furniture.
It is. Well, they've become part of the
pretty
furniture, yeah.
much. We're sounding so terrible.
No, but that's the thing. That's how it works here. So they basically, what happened in Vivi's family is her grandma is still alive, weirdly enough.
Yeah.
I say that because she's gone through a lot of shit and she's super old. But anyway, she sits at home.
Tenacious.
They are.
Like my gran.
She sits at home.
Yeah.
And the family, the part of the family that didn't do very well, lives in her house.
Okay.
And they, with her granddaughter and her son-in-law and her daughter, will stay in her house, this like old shitty house, and take care of grandma. And that's what they do in return for free living, right?
Right.
So they live there. Yeah, that's how it works. So it's kind of weird, but that's what it is that when you don't have a safety net.
I'm going to say that it's a positive thing and it works very well, and everybody kind of helps everyone out in
Sure.
the end.
Right.
But it's one of those culture clashes that just don't work very well with Western people.
For sure.
So, I mean, it's difficult for us to accept that we may have to take care of somebody else's parents.
Absolutely.
You know, because even with my own parents, they can take care of themselves, and when they get too old to do so, they've got enough money, they'll have their own place to stay, they'll stay in a retirement community or something if they have to. And if they worst case scenario, if I do have to look after them, I'm going to get them a granny flat.
Right.
You know, that's what I'm going to do.
Sure.
I'm not going to be letting them stay in my house.
Right. I think
Sorry, Mom and Dad, but granny flat in the backyard, you can stay there and watch your Golden Girls or whatever it is.
Oh man, is he still watching that?
No, I don't think so.
I think it
Probably
goes
Bold and the Beautiful.
In my opinion, it goes both ways.
Yeah.
And the positives are that, like you said, they always have someone looking after them, right?
Yeah.
The huge negative that I see is that I think they become creatures of this reliance.
Yes.
Meaning that when my Chinese family visits me in America, they're astounded to see my grandfather at 90 driving a car.
Yeah.
They're astounded to see my grandmother at 85 driving a car. She did drive through the neighbor's house, but she's fallen asleep at the wheel, but she's still living alone.
Yes.
She's still taking care of herself,
got their
right?
own place.
Whereas what I see is abuse of that luxury of having someone take care of you. And just like Vivi's parents, my wife's parents will say, I'm useless now. I can't do anything. What are you going to do? What are you going to do for me?
Yeah,
and they're perfectly capable.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
So I do think it becomes an issue.
Yeah.
No,
they are completely capable, but then they will expect the children always have to send money to the parents.
Right. That's
Rice
definitely
and oil,
a thing. Rice and oil, dude.
It's that kind of thing. So yeah, I suppose.
It's just reliance.
Yeah, it is reliance. Anyway, that's pretty much the be-all and the end-all. China does have a system in place to take care of the old people, but it's not traditional nursing homes.
I actually did a video about this, about social welfare, and I talked about some of the laws with my wife, about how much people actually make. And I've had a lot of people in the comments that get really angry, because if you're a resident of Shanghai, you will get a decent amount of money from the government.
Yeah.
In third-tier cities, what happens is they'll have the law in place for people to get a stipend, but in the end, nobody actually gets very much, a couple hundred kwai, right? It's pretty corrupt still, right? So people don't end up with a lot.
I don't know how many times we have to say this, but you cannot take Shanghai standards, because Shanghai it's kind of like a bubble.
Right.
It always has been. It's always had its own laws.
Right.
Something very different to other places, like, for instance, Shenzhen or Guangzhou, because, like, historically, it's always been this kind of foreign concession area type thing. It's kind of like Hong Kong.
A Chinese friend has a joke. He always says this. If somebody says, I'm from Shanghai, he goes, oh, so have you ever been to China before?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, anyway, we kind of talked about this at length.
Yeah, sorry.
Let's cross over, let's go over there, So, there's really nothing else to say about this subject, but is there something you would like to tell all of our subscribers?
Whether you're old or young, somewhere in the middle like us, I implore you to go downstairs, leave a comment, talk about your countries. I mean, every country has a different system, right? America gets criticized all the time for its lack of social programs in comparison to Europe and Canada, right? So let us know what happens in your country. I'm very curious. And if you like the video, please hit the like button and let us know that you liked it.
Absolutely. And whether or not you are somebody who is married to the state or somebody who believes in forging their own way and making provisions for themselves, we love you all the same.
Don't out yourself too much.
No, we love you all the same. So until next time, you know the drill, guys. Stay awesome.
Thank you so much for watching, guys. And don't forget, we have a new schedule, which means a new ADV China video every single Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Not only that, you can check out a Lao 86 video at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday. And don't forget, Friday, just before the weekend, time to crack open a beer. You can watch a SerpentZA video, also 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So don't forget, every week you get 3 videos from us.